Oh, why hello there. My name is Jeremy Eyes Magno and here's my digital portfolio for UTS. Let's get to it. Alright, so I know what you're thinking. Damn, Magno, why is the video so long? And well, the reason why is because wanted this to be a very productive video. Usually they wanted to make a PowerPoint. The reason why I chose this YouTube video to be my video format to be my um, format is so that I can express the ideas I want to express easier that I can't really do when I do text. And usually how I express these ideas is when I talk. I'm a blabbermouth. And yeah, it's maybe long, but there are segments. They're segmented. If you want individual ideas on what I said, you can skip to those parts. There are timestamps there probably. Hopefully, I mean, hopefully, future me remembers that. But yeah. Okay, so let's start with a short introduction about myself. My name is, as you say, Jeremy Ice Magno. Jeremy from Jeremy Spoken and Ice Ice Baby from Vanilla Ice Queen. They're both from songs, and like my name, I'm a music enthusiast. I play bass guitar, guitar, and saxophone. I guess you could say I'm a very, I guess, average person. I don't know what the criteria for average is in Mapua, but it's pretty. I'm pretty okay. I like to think that I'm doing well enough for myself in Mapua batch 2019-2020. We got hit with this epidemic, so it's pretty bad news. But I feel like if we can, I feel like at some point it's gonna get better. I don't think there's need for despair for it. But yeah, I'm generally average, generally positive about the stuff, and yeah, that's kind of like a brief overview. Not really a brief overview of everything I am, but what I think could top it off. And today I'm gonna start off with talking about the self, the different aspects, the I'm gonna expand on my own philosophical ideas on them, my understanding, what they really mean to me, and yeah, let's get down to it. Okay, so first let's talk about some general ideas. What is the self and identity? And I think a lot of people get it confused, these two things confused, because I think what this like the meanings kind of intertwine when we talk about the self and identity. But my viewpoint on these two, that they're completely different things, is that self is who you really are as a person, like your core foundation, kind of like in a house. You know how there's a foundation in your house, and then that's kind of what builds you up. That's what you are, like the walls, everything else. That's what the self, and the identity is what you put inside that house. It what gives it that. It's what you show to the people, basically. Relating that back, self is kind of like what I am deep down, what I don't really show. It's kind of cliche to say that what I am deep down, but yeah. And then identity is how I show myself to other people. Showing yourself as a kind character instead of kind of like a bit of an ass. And that's kind of like my short view on the self. Everyone is obviously very different. People say, "Oh, I'm unique," but I feel like there are aspects that you pick up on the self, from other people. Because generally before, my attitude was kind of like just a quiet person, just a very laid back person. Or I was very, how do you say this? I was very like kind of super serious before, but then around like a year later or so, I met someone else. I kind of changed like how I see the world a bit. I got kind of laid back. I dropped my tense shoulders down, kind of relaxed my view on the world, and that's kind of how I see how my development of the self, and like I guess my philosophical. And you could say that everyone is unique, but at the same time, no one is really unique with the self. It's just that you have a collection of selves, if that makes any sense. You know how you act like a certain way in front of your parents versus your friends. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, but in regards to like a specific topic about the self, first let's talk about the. Well, there are six of them. Hopefully, I'll put in the description like a time stamp for if you want to listen to that very specific idea I have on that particular self. But let's talk about this first segment. We're gonna talk about the biological self. All right. So, the biological self. Well, the first thing you hear about the when I think biological self, I immediately think science. Honestly, usually in the biological self, you can't really like put too much of a. I mean, you can't put too much of an opinion on it, but there are like facts that are pretty much concrete. Like you know how the world, how Earth is actually around. You can't just say it's flat. You know, you can't just keep saying that. All right. But yeah, in the biological self, usually there are two ideas that they talk about: the physical self and then the sexual self. Physical being how I am, how I see myself physically. Well, obviously, I'm a male. I don't know if that comes out pretty well, but I'm a dude. All right, and I'm in engineering honestly, so I'm not very keen on bio. I'm not gonna lie. There's a reason why I'm in engineering. But as far as my understanding goes on a base structure, that there's a specific way that some of us are brought into this world through our genes and what we brought passed down, what we get from our parents during heredity. And for me, I've been told a lot that I look like my dad, but I look like my dad, I act like my dad, but my eyes look like my mom. I don't know how that works, but apparently that's how it is. And yeah, as for the physical self, though, I don't think it can just be limited to, oh, hey, I was born like this, I was born, so I should be like this, like my dad. But in reality, whether you're inflicted with a sickness or you're just generally in the dumps, or have a physical kind of sickness, usually, I mean, not usually, but sometimes you shouldn't let those. You shouldn't. Oh, that's bad. That's my dogs. You shouldn't let that physical trait. If you want to change something about your physical self, for example, before I was a very very sticky boy. I was very thin. I'm a very tall and thin person. And at some point, I kept getting teased that, oh, Magno, parang stick. And I'm like, shit, yeah, well, sorry, man. But now I'm trying to like build up myself to have a bit more meat in my body. I like to think that I am getting meat in my body. But yeah, don't let other people's perception on physical self stop you from making the change you need to become the peak you. The self is something that I think is continuously always being improved on. And yeah, I mean, generally speaking, what I'm trying to say here is that like biologically, although yeah, you do have those traits, that doesn't mean those traits are a bad thing. They're what essentially make you up. If you have, so you could either work with it or you could work on it and make it, a bit better on yourself. As far as there's also another aspect, the sexual self. As far as that goes, I don't really have too much thoughts on it. Um, whether we're talking about gender or sex, which are two different things. Gender being what you were born, if your genitalia and all that stuff, and then sex be the sex you identify as either you're bi, gay, LGBT, etc., etc., etc. Microwave, yeah. As far as that goes, I'm pretty straight. I like women, and well, I don't really have a lot to say about the sexual stuff other than I'm straight, and as my understanding of it, if people could be whatever they want, as long as it doesn't like intrude on other people's ideas. But yeah, that's kind of what my perception on that is. That's the end of the biological self. Next topic, social self. So, oh, that's my dog. The social self. Well, and the social self is like for me probably the most interesting aspect of the self because it's not as it's a kind of a dynamic thing that just changes constantly no matter pretty much what. Not to say that the other aspects of the self don't change, but this one I think has the most interesting change. Generally how people act or how people are, how they build up is usually thanks to their initial social connections, whether it's their family or friends. As far as the social self goes, I like to be on the spectrum of the I forgot what it's called, but the kind of middle in between of the intro and extrovert. Usually I'm in between. I'm in between there, depending on who I'm with. Usually I'm very engaged with that person. But generally, I mean, I guess I'm more on the extrovert kind of line, as from what other people tell me. And as far as the social stuff go, I'm a very like usually there are two aspects. One's where you're kind of independent, and one where you're kind of dependent on the people. I like to lie in between. I like to lean more on that I want to be able to do things myself, but when I know that I can't do it, I want to have other people around me to kind of lift me up, you know what I'm saying? Because really nobody's perfect. I'm no way in hell I'm perfect, and no way in hell I could have actually made it this far in Mapua on the third term without the people that I know. Yeah, that's kind of my idea on the social self. Of course, there are also many aspects of the social self. Your social digital. I wouldn't say I'm a very active um, social media user, like internet. I don't really present myself as much. Usually, I just watch YouTube or I just pretty much watch entertainment or use it to message my friends. Usually, I don't really publicly announce anything to me. And some people ask me, oh, Magno, but wala akong ano, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, kasi okay. I'm too lazy to post pictures of myself. And as far as I go, I don't have a lot to say on the social digital self. As long as I like to think I'm practicing good internet hygiene. Internet hygiene, the term wherein you're not exposing yourself too much, not letting yourself get doxxed, etc. And yeah, I don't have too much to say on that. Yeah, my ideas on the social stuff, I find it very interesting, but that it's something that very dynamically changes over time. Before I was a very quiet person, but then after I met some people, they kind of changed my life, changed my views on some stuff, and kind of built who I am today. And that's why I love the social self, just like how I love UTS. Wink, wink. Uno. All right. Next topic, the mental self. Probably the most important self in general because of how much we have to use our mental strain, whether it's schoolwork or doing really anything. You're gonna have some sort of mental strain on you, and being in Mapua as well, there is a lot of mental strain. A lot of the people I meet in Mapua usually have very high cognitive or intelligence when they're here. And me, I'm just on the average line, you know. I'm kind of just making my way around the general hard work, I guess, question mark. There are usually two aspects on it, cognition, memory, and intelligence. Um, well, honestly, intelligence is viewed as something that it's like a talent. It's like oh wow, talino mo naman, blah 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 blah. But I think it's a matter of cognition, whether it's a matter of perspective. I mean, whether you are intelligent or not. Because intelligent, I guess for me, a better definition, I think, instead of like how smart a person is, or is something like the capacity to learn and the capacity on to learn that you have. The motivation that you have to learn that specific topic. I know a lot of people in that keep changing their courses in college because they're not learning anything or they're not good enough because in the end, they're I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying that maybe they just don't see it as something that they really want to do. They can't. And honestly, everyone who's gone through this, the people who know the people that do what they love really like learning on it, learning that stuff because it's their favorite. Um, An example is, for example, I really, I'm in CE. How I got into it was I used to play these old games that would let you run a city simulator, and then you would manage it, you would build stuff. Usually, I just really want to be a city, real IRL city skyline spray, you know. And yeah, but even though that course you may not fail at that, people are gonna fail, you know. It's kind of like a fact that people go through, and a fact I learned the moment I went to the school. And yeah, it's alright to fail. Just because you fail at something doesn't necessarily mean you're not good for it. It's just that means there are things to work on, and if you really wanna get in there, you gotta like grind, get on the practice, and let those and don't just fail for the sake of failing. Fail with the intention of being better next time. You know, that's kind of like my perceptions. I might not a lot of technical terms there, a lot of physical views, and but I feel like that those ideas are very important. All right, emotional self. Let's talk. I mean, emotional self. I guess you could also relate it back to the oh fuck, intelligent the mental self. I like to think. I mean, they're not really the same, but this aspect is like more important. Emotional intelligence being kind of like how you perceive or how you not really perceive, but how you perceive yourself and others, and the emotions they're feeling at the time. And for example, some people I know are very much understand what they feel about themselves. They see this person, they're like, wow, I feel this way about this person or that way about that person. And then some people I know don't know anything. They're like, oh, I don't know how to react to this. They don't know how to kind of like process those emotions that they're having. Um, for me, emotional intelligence, having a high one, is a matter of kind of letting those walls down that you set up for yourself or for others, to letting yourself and to kind of see more of yourself, to let people come in and you yourself also come in and see yourself. It's kind of hard, you know, being vulnerable, and yeah, there's gonna be a lot of heartache, but that struggles, those pains that you're gonna feel, is gonna give you the experience that you need to develop yourself as a person, as a self, yourself. You know, I've been through a bunch of tough times where it's taken a lot of emotional strain on me, and I like to think that I'm better because of it. I like to think that I'm a better person because of those emotional strains and those emotional situations I was placed in. Of course, there are some people that can't control their emotions. They feel extremely impulsive about something, or they easily get angry, happy, whatever, whatever. They don't know how to do it. And really, just if I'm gonna bring it out, emotional self, it's just a matter of understanding and letting yourself feel something. Sometimes you feel sad. Your perception on the emotion of sad is gonna depend on how well you handle it. If you think sad is a horrible thing, then you're gonna take steps to not be sad. But at the same time, you're also bottling up the feelings of being sad, meaning that you're kind of screwing yourself over by doing that. So, um, hmm. Well, that's kind of like all my ideas on the emotional self. It's kind of getting hot here. Philippines is getting very hot today. That's that. All right, spiritual self. Sorry if you hear a lot of wind. That turned on my electric fan. It's getting extremely hot here. But yeah, let's talk about the spiritual self. I'm personally speaking, I am not. I wouldn't consider myself a very spiritual. Oh, that's sorry. My hair's messy. I wouldn't consider myself a very spiritual person. You know, I am a very kind of like sim. I guess I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm very in touch with my spiritual self. Usually there are like aspects that people find. Spiritual doesn't just mean ghosts, by the way. Usually like how you feel, connection with the world, connection with nature, understanding 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 your own existentialism. Oh no, we're gonna talk about that. But as far as it goes, I'm not a very spiritual person. I would say when it comes to like, because my when it comes to yeah spiritual or religion or anything like that. Because as far as it goes, really for me, anything kind of goes. If there is a big G looking up in this, looking out for me in the sky, I'm like, hey, thanks, man. But if there's not, it doesn't really matter at the same time. Does it really matter that it doesn't matter? You know, I kind of just want to enjoy my life as is right now. Um, as far as the meaning of existentialism or satisfaction in my life, whether I'm actually heading somewhere, their direction, I don't really know. I don't really look that far ahead. Maybe that's why I'm in this goddamn school. But but yeah, as far as like my life in general, just so personally speaking, my own meaning in life, is that do whatever you want, but within reason. You know what I'm saying? When I add the within reason because what if you want to murder someone? Well, no, that's a big no-no. You can, but um, yeah, that's kind of all I really have to say about the spiritual self as far as for me. I'm a very laid back person. I don't really think too much about the grand scheme of things. I let other people do that for me. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's it. Oh, next one, the emergent self. All right, so emergent self. What does it mean? Well, it's kind of how you. It's to me, it's kind of how you bring yourself out to the world, how you present yourself in a the grander scheme of things. Two ideas is political and social digital self. Political being what you really side for, left or right, or you think this one, your political ideas on this. A lot of people say, "Oh, don't get political," but I'm like, "Oh, well, it's kind of possible to do that." Um, I wouldn't say I have very neutral stances on when it comes to politics in the Philippines. You know, obviously it's pretty dumb. Not gonna lie, some of the things I've seen in the news are pretty dumb. But I like to take things with a grain of salt. That not everything I see is what it actually is. You know, some news because personally, oh, that's a motorbike. Personally speaking, I have been in many cases where a lot of miscommunication has caused people to change their point of view on me, to be kind of to view me as kind of like this, or something like that, right? And yeah, based on those previous experiences, I take things with a grain of salt. I really want to ask questions. Why did this happen? Why did those happen? Yeah. And as far as like there's also the social digital self, how you emerge yourself to the world. As I said before, if initially during the social self, I'm not a very social media kind of person. You know, I don't leave too much of a footprint. But I leave barely any footprint. I still have the DP from my grade 10 prom picture on my Facebook. Because in the end, I have a pretty, I like to think I have a strong mental perception on myself that I don't really care about what other people think about it. I just kind of want to do what I want. I just use social media for friend purposes, you know, hitting them up and all that stuff. Not that kind of hitting up, hitting them up. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. Emergent self. Ooh, next one. And the last topic, future self. I mean, I feel like if the video kind of, I don't know if the video gave it off in my rambling, but I don't look too far out into the future. I like to live in the moment. With whatever happens, happens, and um, not really a lot to say here. If I had to draw conclusions, there was this test that we took about how we perceived how we generally make decisions when it comes to making the future. Generally, I look to the past to get an answer for the future. I look to my past experiences to kind of relate it to this one. See, okay, last time this happened to me. Maybe that, since this is kind of similar to that, but not really, I can kind of do something similar to that. That's kind of like the perception I have with the future. I'm a person who looks back. I'm a nostalgic person. Not to say that I get stuck in the past. I look forward to future experiences. But I also don't want to forget those experiences I had in the past because they were pretty important to me. And honestly, yeah, that's kind of how I make my. That's kind of like how my inner workings on making a decision. I look to the past to find an answer for the future. Wow, quote by Jeremy Macno. Um, yeah, that's kind of it. It's the insight I learned about the future self to me. And well, yeah, that's kind of it. Not really a lot to say on. Not really a lot to add on it. From here on, yeah, that's kind of it. Okay, okay. To conclude, has UTS been generally helpful to me? This partially online sem? Yes, but no. I would say it's kind of helped me kind of relax a bit. Usually when you have GEDs, they're kind of like they usually give you a lot of work and cause you a lot of stress. But UTS so far has been pretty chill for me. It's allowed me to kind of step back and kind of assess myself on how I am as a person. Kind of general learnings I want to impart in this video, or I want to tell to people who watch this video, that I learned from the self, is that really the self doesn't have any constraint. Just because there are many aspects of the self, just like what I talked about here, but in the end, the self is really up to you. What you want the self to be, what you are. The self can change, your identity can change, and that change, whether good or bad, is what makes you you. And if you think you need to change it because it's something that you can improve on yourself, then sure, why not do it? No, no, no. If no one's gonna be harmed while you're changing, that is. And yeah, no, that's kind of it. Thanks for listening to this very long video. You probably didn't listen to everything. If you did, oh my god, I'm so thankful. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's my ideas on the self, my digital portfolio. My name is Jeremy Magno, and thank you.